Hey guys. Alright, so the video down below is from the Daily Color Shorts, and there are two videos basically sharing the same title, highlights from Trump's 2020 State of the Union speech. And I went ahead and included the larger one down below. It's about 6.5 minutes, as opposed to the 4.5 minutes, 4.5 minute version that was available. So check it out. If you didn't watch the speech in full, I highly recommend you do it. In fact, I was just getting a haircut, and the folks in the barbershop were talking about how they either watched it last night or were planning on watching it tonight. And they mentioned how Nancy Pelosi really set the Democratic Party back at least a year with her stunt and her mannerisms during the speech. She was very childish throughout, constantly rolling her eyes, mouthing words to the back of President Trump's head. And to put a cherry on this whole, as she likes to say, this whole dog poop Sunday, she took the copies of Trump's speech that he had given to her and ripped them up at the very end of the speech. Now, I think some people might argue on the left that, well, Trump had all of this coming not just because of the fact that he snubbed her for a handshake, but just because of his policy and rhetoric. You know, he had everything that was coming to him that did come to him last night. Fair enough. I think the Democrats were probably in a very bad mood last night. You know, not only finally accepting that their impeachment efforts have resulted in nothing positive for them. If anything, it's resulted in positivity for the Republicans and Trump and Trump's respective base. Somebody had left a comment in a video. I think it was actually the video that I'm sharing with you guys down below, basically talking about how Trump was taking a victory lap on the House floor in front of all these Democrats that were trying to impeach him. Well, they did impeach him, but they didn't succeed in removing him from office. We expect that Trump is going to be acquitted by the Senate within the next 48 hours. So, in a lot of ways, Trump was taking a victory lap on the House floor, and the Democrats remained pouty, as they always do, especially when they don't get their way. Even if they do get their way, they're still very bitter about their own victory. Just because they know it's like, well, we did get a victory here, but the American people are going to hate us for doing this. One of the most prominent examples I can think of is when you have people like the mayor of Philadelphia doing his little dance singing, "We're Sanctuary City," like a total nut job would. They're celebrating, but they know that the American people are going to hate him for it. And if they do hate him for it, then we'll find a way to criminalize their criticism of us. Just see Frederica Wilson. She's been very supportive of some type of ban on criticism of elected officials. Probably even Kamala Harris. I guess the irony there is you want to insult the president. This legislation that you put forth actually prohibits you from doing so. So it's bad for everybody. Obviously, it's bad for everybody. Anyways, going back to the State of the Union speech, the Democrats were very, very pouty. And they wouldn't even stand up and applaud during the most heartwarming, nonpartisan issues, such as the one that was very touching for me was the mother with her two children and their father and husband who had been deployed to Afghanistan for the fourth time this time around, and how he was able to surprise them in the gallery of the house and really just provided a very nice moment for the speech. Even if you're not a partisan, I think you could look at that moment and say, well, that's a very special moment. This father of two and husband is coming home to his family unexpectedly, and just provided, like I said, a very touching, heartwarming moment. But the Democrats, they couldn't even, most of them couldn't even stand up to applaud that. And it's not because of the actual event itself. They probably think, well, that's a very nice moment, but they saw that and they said, well, this is Trump. This is the evil orange man. It's kind of a double whammy here. An evil orange man celebrating this nice looking white family. So just off principle alone, we can't stand up and cheer, even if it is, objectively speaking, a very nice moment. But this is the way the Democrats operate. Talking about Rush Limbaugh now, he has been diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, I believe, and Trump had awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest possible award that could be given to a civilian from the president. And you have to remind yourself that, all these people are saying, well, he has, he doesn't deserve it at all, even if he does have cancer, because of his partisan status or whatever. Well, I would just go ahead and say, well, look at the people that Obama awarded the medal to. You had Ellen DeGeneres and Tom Hanks. I even think Joe Biden got one too. So, I think it's always going to be awarded from presidents to people that they feel that they're close to, even if the national audience doesn't necessarily think that they're deserving of said award. It's still something. It's a personal award given from whoever has the Oval Office at the time. And I'm not protesting Obama giving it out to Ellen DeGeneres or Tom Hanks or whatever. They're deserving of it, in the eyes of Obama. So that's good enough to me. I'm not going to focus on tiny things like that, because it's just, you don't want to become petty like the folks on the left, honestly. Some other nice moments from the speech. He, and a lot of people say this is a bad thing, but he treated the State of the Union address almost like a formal rally. Promoting his reelection, which is probably going to happen. I mean, just look at the alternatives. And he did it in a calmer, more civil, presidential, if you will, manner, where a lot of people throughout his entire presidency, these bubbleheads from the legacy media, and they're pseudo-intellectuals, they come out and they say, well, he needs to act more presidential. He's really not playing the game, so to speak. I'll continue to say this. I've been saying this for almost 3 years now. This is one of his main attractive qualities, is the fact that he is not playing the game, that he's not talking politician speak. It really adds to his appeal. He is, even if his policy doesn't necessarily reflect it, in terms of his rhetoric, or as a result of his rhetoric, he has really been proclaimed to be a rebel from both his supporters and his detractors. So that is something to think about. And even if you don't appreciate the fact that he speaks without a filter, you need to at least acknowledge it, and acknowledge that's the reason why he is so attractive as a politician. And I'll say this again, because I said this a few months back, and a lot of you guys actually jumped down my throat for saying this. They said, "Oh, well, don't help your enemy out when they're hurting themselves." Well, I'll say this to the Democrats. They need to start attacking the media, especially those who aren't necessarily favors of the media, or favorites of the media. So, for example, you have Andrew Yang. You've got Tulsi Gabbard. And you've got Bernie Sanders. But I think Bernie Sanders is kind of slowing down in terms of his energy and activity due to health problems and just general aging. But the younger people there, the younger folks, Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang, I would say that they need to start hitting the media, and as unconventional and if you know, and as childish as it sounds, they need to start coming up with nicknames or branding. They need to come up with some type of branding that will help them call out their opponents, like Trump has. You know, Trump in the uh, 2016 election, he had Lion Ted Cruz, low energy Jeb Bush, little Marco lightweight Rubio. Uh, Obviously, Crooked Hillary was one of the big ones he came up with. Crazy Bernie. Um, I'm sure he had a few for the Sleepy Ben Carson. I think was one at some point. And they're juvenile, of course, but it at least helps Trump to brand his opponents, and that's what Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang need to start doing. But that's a topic for a whole other video. But it's still something that needs to be said. We do need to have competition in politics. That is always going to be a good thing. Competition, economic competition, as well as political competition. We need that. So I'll say this, closing everything up here. President Trump really delivered a very good State of the Union speech, and it was fairly short. I mean, compared to some of the other speeches he's done, a lot of his speech was it involved him acknowledging people in the gallery, the gallery, whichever, which really, I guess, took some focus off of what he could have said regarding impeachment, which wasn't even mentioned once. He could have been gloating. He could have been rubbing it in the Democrats' face and saying, look, you guys have been talking about impeachment for the last 3 years. Look what it's gotten you. It's gotten me to reach my highest approval rating at any point throughout my presidency. And now it looks like I'm going to be coasting to re-election, as well as being given the gift of acquittal from the Senate, which we all knew it was going to happen. No witnesses, and there's going to be an acquittal and no impeachment. And Trump can basically say, hey, 2 more terms, or rather 2 terms altogether. 2 scoops, 2 genders, 2 terms. And that shit really does. It really does read well on the internet. People are just going to continue to put this meme out there, and then they'll get to say, hey, look, meme magic is real. We memed a man into the White House, which is actually very true in a lot of ways. So yeah, that's all I got. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless. And just to let you guys know, a little vlog here. Got my haircut, got my beard cut finally, and going to be going into work today. Today's my Monday. Wednesday through Monday is my work week, and my wallet is kind of hurting after a nice fun one-day weekend there. Totally worth it, but gonna have to do some saving here in the next couple months to just make sure I'm able to pay rent. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless. I'll see you later.